Hello my friends, you're listening to Ebird Online and I'm back with another review. Guys, I'm back here again. I literally can't keep away. Yes, that's right, today we're going to talk once more about Riley and Violet. So this week the couple had a massive argument, and the truth be told, I don't think there's any coming back from this. Riley's just completely unable to let the past go, and he consistently wants to haul Violet over the coals and quiz and question her about every little thing. Riley, with his special brand of congenital idiocy, started screaming and shouting in a restaurant. Just last week, we heard how he felt so conspicuous as a 6'4" dark-skinned black man in the middle of Vietnam. Riley, does screaming and shouting, beat it, help anything at all? I don't think so. Poor old Violet had no inkling of what was to come. Here's how the evening started.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good.
You look beautiful. Lovely. Oh, lovely.
Enough what I see?
Yeah, it's beautiful, sexy.
Thank you.
I hope I'm dressed appropriately for you.
To be honest, tonight you're right.
Yes, that's right, the couple got all dressed up for a lovely rooftop restaurant, and it was billed to be an evening of high romance in Ho Chi Minh City. It was supposed to be an evening in which they enjoyed each other's company, as much as you can ever enjoy Riley's company. But they were supposed to put the past behind them and look to a brighter future together. Guys, here's how it ended up.
Down
I
to
don't
me.
talk with you. Okay. We stop now. Okay. I go back home.
Okay, beat it.
Yes.
Beat it.
Bye. You say I
Bye.
get married with
Bye.
you, not your family.
Oh my god, guys. Riley, are you at middle school? Oh, Riley, you forgot to say, talk to the hand, and your mama. Anyway, guys, enough of all that. The eBird's here to break the drama down. Want to hear more? I thought as much. But just before we do, I have a public service announcement. Can anyone listening to eBird's videos on a regular basis please press the subscribe button forthwith? It would greatly help her out with her analytics, and also serve as some small proof that she can on occasion be both engaging and amusing. Furthermore, if you enjoy the video, please don't forget to smash the like button. This has been a public service announcement on behalf of the eBird. Thanks guys! Right, so without further ado, I give you Riley and Violet. Now, as we all know, Riley's a walking, talking hate crime on women. But guys, this week, he really excelled himself. And poor old Violet, well, she was wrong-footed, she was confused, and she was completely discombobulated. Now, it's fair to suggest that Riley's trust issues are pretty much unrivaled. But what he managed to do this week is to hand his version of the whole situation to one of his friends, and to somehow kind of abdicate responsibility for the scrutinising and the questioning of Violet and her every move. So it all started in a swanky restaurant on a rooftop bar in a nice part of town, and the couple meet up and they admire what each other are wearing, and there began an evening of charming conversation and witty repartee, and Riley's feeling particularly happy this evening.
This right here is why I came here, for this moment right here.
We have an undeniable connection, and I love seeing this side of her. She has this tough exterior, but she also has a sweet side that keeps bringing me back.
And Violet, well, she seems quite happy as well, and she's talking about the future, and she decides to ask Riley a few questions about America, and really a little bit more about American culture. And guys, if you remember, they were talking about getting to know each other's cultures much better in anticipation of being man and wife. And so it seems to me that Violet's just following through with this. And Violet asked Riley, what would happen if one of your family members didn't like me? Would we still be able to get married? And Riley said, well, why? And she went, well, for example, in Vietnam, if my mum and dad or my family don't like you, we're not getting married. And Riley explained, well, although it's really important that your friends and family like your spouse, it's not the be-all and end-all, and the most important relationship is between the two people in the marriage. But then Violet went on to say, well, I know your dad likes me at least. I've been chatting with him online, and we get along very, very well. And at first Riley didn't say anything, and you could see he was ticking it over in his head. And guys, for any of you that can't remember, Violet sent a lot of messages to Riley's dad, especially when they were kind of having arguments on the phone or whatever. And she said things like, I don't know what's wrong with your son, it's like he doesn't want to be happy, he doesn't trust anyone, and that sort of thing. And for some reason Riley's dad kept this from him for quite some time. And of course Riley's feeling a way about this because he's thinking, why are you talking behind my back? Now I've done a little bit of research on this, and I'm informed, although I can't say really reliably, i.e. Reddit. But I'm informed that oftentimes when people in Vietnam have problems with their partner, they talk to the elders and they talk to family members in the hope that they're going to in some way mediate between the two. Apparently, it's a lot more culturally acceptable to do that there in Vietnam than obviously it would be here in the West. Anyway, I digress. Here's Riley's interpretation of the messages.
A few days before I left to Vietnam, I found out that after a couple of falling out of arguments or whatever, Violet was texting my father horrible, horrible things about me. I knew your son doesn't love me, and the time we are together, he just loves himself, really. He never knows how is true love, so he ever will be alone. Really, this is what she says to you?
So guys, I'd love to break this down a little bit. Riley's angry because he said she's texting horrible, horrible messages. Guys, in your opinion, were these horrible, horrible messages? No, they weren't. They weren't great, but they were an attempt to summarise from Violet what she thought the problems were within their relationship. He's untrusting. He'll never be with somebody else because he always thinks of himself. No lies detected so far. She's pretty much hit the nail on the head. But this is, to me, vintage Riley. He literally exaggerates everything, and he's also completely unburdened with the ability to self-reflect. Now, I'm unsure as to if it's true that in Vietnamese culture it's okay to text these sorts of things to somebody's parents. But that aside, these texts aren't awful, they're not terrible. But of course, Riley characterises everything as the worst it could possibly be. Anyway, he decides to tackle Violet about these messages, but Violet's not having any of it, and she said, no, tonight we're not going back into the past, we're starting afresh. We agreed not to talk about these issues here. And he said, no, sorry, I forgot, I apologise. We'll put a lid on it for now. So this brings us neatly into the next segment, because you can hear they've agreed this is supposed to be a nice night, a night free from arguments, a night free from stress. And Riley has but one request. And guys, when you're looking at the next clip, I'd like you to note Riley's face, Riley's demeanour, his body language, his smiles, because there's no hint of the carnage that's to come.
I do have a friend, her name, it's like my big sister. She wanted to meet you. She, like I said, Tiffani.
Tiffani.
Yeah. Would you mind if we call her and she...
I don't mind.
She get to mention? Okay. All right. So let's call her.
And so Riley gets Tiffani on the phone. And Violet's busy organising her hair and making sure she looks okay. And Tiffani comes onto the phone and Riley introduces her and Violet. And they're like, hi, how are you? But then all of a sudden, Riley remembers he's got somewhere else to be. And he hands Violet the phone and says, you two chat to each other and, I gotta go. I've got to go to the toilet. And guys, Riley scuttles off to the toilet like a cockroach wearing a white suit. And guys, I'm not lying, he literally ran out of there. LeBron James couldn't have caught him. And so Tiffani started out by being so sickly sweet. Hi, how are you? Oh, Violet, you look absolutely beautiful. And Violet was like, so do you. So nice to meet you. And poor Violet, she's genuinely pleased. She thinks, oh, I'm being introduced to his friend who he says is almost like his sister. So after approximately 6.5 seconds of niceties, Tiffani commences with the bullshit. And she said, when you and Riley met on the dating app, he asked you to delete your app. And then he discovered you were still on it. Why was that? And guys, I was willing Violet with every sinew of my being to say, it's none of your fucking business, Tiffani. But of course she didn't, she just sat there mute. And as we know, this is a question that Violet has been asked many times before and she definitively doesn't want to answer. Guys, we know the answer. You just met me. I wasn't particularly sure about the relationship and neither were you. That's the real answer. And let's not forget, this was 2 years ago, right at the beginning of the relationship. Riley's had 2 years to find out the answer to this. Why is he bringing it up again now? But Violet just sits there, almost dumbfounded, and she doesn't say anything. I can see she's processing this and thinking, what the F is going on here? And so Riley comes back, and he holds the phone and he says, Violet, do you understand what she's asked you? And then he proceeds to ask her exactly the same question. So in essence, what's happened here is so that he can bully, with a little bit more success and vim, he's employed Tiffani the attack dog to do his dirty work. Well, guess what, Riley? Get another attack dog, because she's not really very good. And guys, the questioning is so super aggressive.
You just straight up say, I'm not sure, I was still going to do my thing. That's real talk.
Right. She's asking you a question. Why are you looking at me? She wants to hear from you.
What? Why am I looking at you? I'm looking at you, Riley, because you're the mother lover that's got this girl, your sister, on the phone asking me jacked up shit. If you want to know, grow some balls and you ask me. I can guarantee you, Riley, she doesn't want to know. She more than likely couldn't give a damn. She thinks you're an idiot for even going over with all these problems. That's what she thinks. So don't look at Violet and say she's talking to you. Why are you looking at me for? Oh, look where the F I want. Guys, this got me so heated. I can't believe the gall of Riley. I cannot believe it. But luckily and thankfully, Violet's not me, and she manages to keep relatively calm, and she simply asked Riley, why are you doing this to me? And it's an interesting question. Why indeed? Because just, 180 seconds ago, you were the one saying, I apologise, I won't bring up the past, let's just have a great night. And then you whip out your iPhone and get Tiffani to attack Violet on your behalf. You're nothing short of goddamn pathetic. And then Tiffani goes one step further. She said it's not a hard question. Why don't you just answer? Because I'm emancipated. I'm liberated. I'm free. I can do what the F I want. Answer what the F I want, to whom I want, and when I want, and if I want. I don't want to answer you or him. How dare you ask me why I'm deciding to do what I'm deciding? Guys, it's the unmitigated gall for me. And you know what? I'd like to blame this all on Riley and that Riley's wound Tiffani up, but Tiffani is her own free-thinking soul. If somebody says to you, can you get involved in my relationship and say this or do this? You don't have to say yes. I would argue if you're a good friend, you would say, do you know what? If you really, really want to know, you need to ask her at the relevant time yourself and elicit what you can yourself. If you can't elicit what you want, maybe you should just walk away. And guys, before anybody starts, I'm not defending Violet in essence, because she is a somewhat, evasive liar. Yeah, she is very evasive, and she doesn't want to answer because obviously there's no get out of jail free card with this answer. So she's going to have to say, more than likely what I think the answer is, I was hedging my bets because I wasn't sure about you. That's the real answer. However, I'm just defending her because this treatment to me is absolutely disgusting. It's shocking. And then guys, what happened next? I didn't believe it could get any worse. But yes, this conversation descends literally to the depths of the earth. Because Violet looks at Riley and she said, okay, but I have a question. And Riley said, no, don't ask me, ask her. She wants to know. And then Violet said, okay, before I answer her, I want to ask you one question. And woohoo, guys, she hits him up with a question that I myself have been contemplating for months.
Before I answer her.
No, answer her. Don't talk to me.
Before I answer her, I just ask you one question.
What?
Why you now I am going to dating me? Why?
Okay. It has nothing. This has nothing to do with me. This has to do with you and Tiffani.
That's right, it's the perfect slam dunk. How did you know that I was on the dating site? How indeed? Because they had an argument and he went back to the dating site. And when he saw Violet was there, he then said, what are you doing here? We both agreed to get off the app. But guys, it's not just Violet that's evasive today. Riley is too, because Riley said, well, that has nothing to do with it. She's asking you, Tiffany's asking you. This conversation's between you and Tiffani. No, it's not, because this conversation concerns actions that are just between Riley and Violet. In fact, it has fuck all to do with Tiffani, and I wish she'd poke her nose out. The only person that I know that has less to do with it than Tiffani is myself. But I'm getting paid. But anyway, Violet finally divulges why she was back online. And she said, I deleted the app from my phone and I'd forgotten my password. So I logged in on my computer. Violet, that makes no sense whatsoever, and I'll tell you why. If you deleted the app on your phone, what made you want to go back into it anyway? There is no forgetting a password to something which is deleted and you no longer need. For future reference, Violet, attempt to make it make sense. Oh dear. Over to you, Riley.
This is another instance where I don't believe anything she's saying, and she's just squirming around looking nervous. I don't understand this.
The truth be told, I don't believe it either. But Riley, you still haven't said why you were on the app. When she asks you say, oh, it's between you and Tiffani. Guys, we still don't know the answer. But it would really seem as if Riley's had enough at this point. He's stopped being smiley Riley. And he's stopped his humble act. Remember how he went into Violet's parents' house? Oh, hi, nice to meet you. Oh, yeah, I'm Riley. I'm lovely. And once more he's ripped off his sheep costume to reveal the wolf underneath. And guys, he starts talking to her like literal dog shit. He's foaming at the mouth. He's pointing his finger in her face. His tone, well, guys, we know about Riley's tone, don't we? He talks to her like a naughty stepchild.
So you're mad because my family, someone I consider my family, I consider my sister, is asking you questions, and you're mad because you have to answer them. But when your family asks me hard questions and I answer them, I don't care.
Guys, look at him pointing. Look at the snarl on his face. He literally looks at Violet as if he hates her. And Violet just points out, well, you were on the app too, old man. You were on the app too. And did you see? And guys, did you catch that, T? She called him old man. Because remember how he hated being called old last week? I low-key think she did that on purpose. I suppose it's just as well she left out the ugly. And they argue back and forth for a little while. And then Violet said, you know what, Riley? You've killed my feelings tonight. And guys, she looked desperately at the production crew for help that sadly never came. There's no one to help you now. So she decided to get up and leave. But Riley, not wanting to be outdone, said, go on, leave, beat it. Guys, literally the last time I heard beat it was in, I think, 1985 or something. Michael Jackson. Who says beat it? Anyway, I guess Riley says beat it. And Violet tried to say something as she was walking away. And he said, bye, and basically talked over everything she was saying. And afterwards, in the foyer to production, Violet characterises Riley as impolite, disrespectful and coarse. And then later on, a child and a psycho. Psycho got me. And she really is, with that, the queen of the understatement. I too had 5 adjectives to describe Riley, but wow, demonetisation is real. And we end with Riley saying the following.
Thank you for that, Tiffany, because she just showed her ass.
This is insane.
Yeah, this right here was too much. It was the last straw for me. I'm done.
And that's where we end things for this week. Guys, Riley ain't wrapped too tight. I see in the future a large suitcase with a heavy load, a low-speed police chase, and the need for correctional facilities. That's what I see in the future if this couple stay together. Riley's a hothead who cannot keep a civil tongue in his head. He tells us that he went back to the app just to see Violet was on it. And that may be true, but he also let us know earlier that he went back to the app when they'd had some sort of argument. And so that would suggest, I think, that he went back to the app to see what else was there, or to see who else was there. I think I've established my viewpoint on this previously, but to me, they weren't seeing each other until they met. And you certainly aren't seeing each other if you meet on an international dating app. And you've only been talking for, 6 weeks. This happened 6 weeks in. We're now 2 years in, and Riley's still talking about it as if it were yesterday. Now, I understand getting passionate or upset over something. And sometimes it takes us a while to calm down. But if he's still this angry and this invested in this one thing, 2 years later, there's no hope for Riley. Guys, it was quite sickening to watch. And I, for one, won't rest until Riley gets his comeuppance. Now, Violet's an evasive liar, and on that we can all agree, but I don't believe that anybody deserves this sort of treatment. But it was made all the more possible because of Tiffani. Riley was able to triangulate and deflect. And guys, between you and me, if Dr. Kirk Honda had seen for just 1 second Riley's antics, he would have ripped Riley's white suit off with his bare teeth, for Dr. Kirk calls out triangulation wherever he sees it. But why Tiffani ever agreed to become involved, I don't know. I mean, it's clear to me that she's frolicking at the front end of the Dunning-Kruger curve. But even an imbecile would know, don't get involved in other people's business, especially when you don't know the other woman. It's never ever going to go down well. Also, think about how you're portraying yourself and how you're looking. She looks like a bully. She looks like a fool. And you're looking that way to defend what or who exactly? Riley, you've only heard one side of the story. But yet you're jumping in with both feet. Guys, I think she's a sandwich short of a picnic. She really is. And so at the end of the video as well, we heard Violet say, we can never be married. Riley said, I'm done. And the truth be told, I hope this is the last we hear of them, although I fear it won't be. But guys, what do you make to all of this? Do you believe what Violet's saying? Does it really matter? For me, it doesn't really matter. They were both back on the app after an argument. It was a few weeks into their so-called relationship. And also, what do you think of the level of Riley's anger? How can you be so angry over something fairly trivial 2 years later? You've travelled 7,000 miles to be with this woman, but you're still obsessing over this tiny detail years ago. Just strange, guys. It's just very strange to me. Anyway, I'd love to hear what you think, so put your comments down below and I'm going to get on with my next video. Guys, thank you so much for listening. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you've yet to do so. It would be very helpful. And I'll see you soon. You've been listening to Ebird Online and I bid you good day.